What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of What's the Strat? I'm your host, Evie, and today I have not just one, two very special guests here with me. Courtney, Ashleigh. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
For having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Well, I'm so excited to have you guys in and learn your journey. So I want to start at the beginning. First, Courtney, how did it start? Were you always like, hey, I want to be an artist. This is what I want to do. What was it like?
I always knew, or I had certainly hoped that I was always going to be an artist of some form. I've been singing and acting and painting and drawing since I was very, very little. I had hoped that it was something in the arts, but I was pretty open to anything. And I'd been acting all the way through school. I used to make films with my friends with a VHS recorder, and we would just come up with these crazy little movies that were super fun. And then I acted all throughout high school, and I had still been painting and drawing all throughout high school as well. And I did photography, so I picked that up. And then I thought that I had to start thinking practically. And I thought that, well, I'll be practical and maybe get something that's in the arts that pays well, depending, and I can make my own schedule. So then I thought I'll be a wedding photographer. Bless y'all. You do the most. And then I had collided with Ashleigh. I just graduated high school and I had my first job, and I overheard her talking about making 13 short films in 2013. And I was like, well, that sounds like something I would love to do. I didn't think I would ever get a chance to act again. Let's do that. And so I messaged her on Facebook, and we have been now making movies ever since. And I am now the creative imagery director and multimedia visionary partner at CA in LA, which is one of two companies that Ashleigh and I have.
Wow. Okay.
So we started making films, and then we decided we had to move out to California if we were really going to make a go at the film thing. So we moved, and then a acting friend of ours recommended that we get on Twitch, not having any idea what that was. And he's like, you guys would be really, really great for that. So we started gaming, and then that ended up moving into music, because we would do a song on the hour. Because we had this whole backlog of songs that we knew from singing back in Maryland to fund one of our films. So the idea of funding our films with music was not far, since we'd already done it for a whole summer. And so then we thought, well, at least we could maybe start singing songs and make some money on Twitch that way, and just use it as something supplemental to help fund our films instead of just our serving jobs. And now it's our full-time job. So now we use music and we use fine art, all to help fund our films. And CA in LA as a brand has really just turned into this multimedia conglomerate. It's crazy. Yeah. Your turn.
So I'm the eldest of four, and I was always the family documentary. A couple years ago, and my friends were like, "You're so weird, like vintage." But no, like that was so much of my life, always documenting everything, and grew up watching like iCarly, and was really fascinated being able to document so much of my life, my family's life, my friends' life. I never thought about going into film, it's so funny because it was always right there. And I was playing guitar at my church, and so that was that intersection for me of bringing music in, where I taught myself guitar. And I was like, if I get really good at guitar, I'll never have to sing, because I hated singing. In college, I was a psychology and business major, and it was in one of my business classes that my professor did like the greatest thing he could have done, and said, for the semester, you're not going to have any exams. We are going to get you ready to apply to your dream job, because worst case, you don't get it, and you have a resume, you have your cover letter, you have an understanding of what will be expected of you when you go out into the job force, and best case, you get your dream job and you're welcome. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do psychology anymore. So I had already been tinkering with like picking music for movies, and luckily my university had a film program. And after graduation, I jumped into a nonprofit's art organization and was wearing 100 hats, and was like, you know what, I really can be a filmmaker. I don't have to just program them, I can do them myself. And this was at the rise of like South by, and like the Duplass brothers talking about like, if you want it, like go after it. You're gonna have to wear all the hats anyways. Just make films, tell your stories. You can do it. And so that's when I was like, okay, cool. 13 short films in 2013. Let's do it. And I was working at Ruby Tuesday with Court, ran my mouth. She messaged me and off we went. And we were averaging like so many films a year, but like we were just trying to find our voice and figure out the stories that we wanted to tell, and like really get great at the gear that we had and the skill sets that we had, just get our processes down. And so as Court said, we were working restaurant jobs, to pay bills and make movies. And like, our friends would get together on weekends and we would just like have these giant powwows and funded a feature film, filmed it in Maryland in 2016, moved to LA 2017, and I think you covered the rest of it.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you.
One thing that I could really resonate with, and I think like as a content creator, when you mentioned iCarly, I was like, yes, iCarly.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's enough people talking about the fact that iCarly was so iconic because not only number one, I love the intro song. Like, I actually have a theme song because of iCarly. Because I was like,
Amazing.
dude, iCarly's intro song was it. Like, I loved it. Anyways, the whole filming and stuff, totally get it. But it's so, what's amazing to me is the fact that you guys happen to be from the same town
Yep.
and found each other
Yep.
and have traversed this whole life. It almost feels like a life, right? And in a sense it is a life because of all the films that you guys like make. I was snooping a little bit, and it's probably not even snooping. I want to know, what was your guys' idea behind the films? Was it your personal story that inspired the films? Was it more like the story of your friends that inspired the film? What goes into creating those films, and kind of what are you trying to portray to the audience as well?
Back in the bulk of most of our film catalog, we were creating films with very minimal resources. We have one location to film in, and if we want to bring in any other actors, we need to hire them. We're constrained to film in this period of time, and it was usually for like a timed film challenge or for to learn a skill. And so we didn't realize what we were doing back then. We didn't realize that this was us figuring out what we wanted to say and the type of stories we wanted to tell. And it's so wild looking back, seeing how psychological and philosophical everything was. But we've always been talking about really serious stuff. The very first film that we worked on, I am so sorry again, was this script called Always Something There to Remind Me. And it was about this girl who is a drug addict trying to get over the fact that she killed her sister in a drunk driving accident and is being like haunted by her sister's ghost and like trying to get over that trauma. What? And so like that, like starting from that point and now being here like a decade plus later, it's so wild to look at how mature those stories were. It wasn't, and no hate or anything on people that like do your typical college movie of like you're in a college dorm and you just have really bad lighting, but like you're trying. No, we were always saying something so intense that I understand now why we didn't build a following and an audience back then, because it was just, we were saying so much.
Yes. Yeah, we were. But Ashleigh and I had met in a really tumultuous time in both of our lives. So we were coming at it from a place of pain, immediately ready to jump into the dark stuff, first of all. But then a lot of our films go around or are based around identity and what are we scared of? What do we not want the world to look like? And how can we, in our best way, I would say, sort of reconcile with that before it happens? One of our films, Terms and Conditions, made in 2015, 16. I always put that in 2015. 2016, we're there. Like, we are there. And it's wild to look at the stories that we were telling and knowing how far off they weren't. We really connected with Black Mirror for that reason.
Ooh, yeah.
Just the human condition and how we will befall one another. Like, we are our own demise. We just are. And we've always been interested in those types of stories. But then what does that say about us as people? So a lot of our personal experiences do inform our films, definitely. But I would say that the world around us is a really, really big part of our stories.
I would also just love to add on to that in that process of us making like dozens and hundreds of films together, we've really been able to narrow it down to our stories being focused on identity, focused on changing people's perspective, because I think that a lot of us are very close-minded, and it's not on purpose. It's just like that's the way that all of us were brought up, and art and film and music provide that opportunity to expose audiences that are willing to go there on that journey to another perspective. And if you're doing it from a delicate and compassionate place without doing like a bait and switch and making them feel stupid, I think that there's a lot of power in film. So us being able to identify and say, hey, our films now are about what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to experience these feelings and emotions in this body? And what constraints do I have? And what does that mean for us moving forward as individuals?
Yeah, like how do we in a film humanize our darkest corners as people? And we have to do that because you have to humanize any villain, because we're obsessed with villain origin stories. I think that they are some of the most compelling things, because it's like we all ended up here for a reason. And when Ashleigh writes, she does try to put a line, unless depending on the film, I'd say, but try to put a gray line in there of no one's really right and nobody's really wrong. And that's what makes an interesting story for me. And that's what makes people human.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the industry in general, we are getting to see the one that pops into my head right now is Wicked, right? We got to see the story behind Wicked and like the reason why she became this Wicked Witch of the West. And it's true because we're not all really bad people. It's the life that we're brought into or the moments that represent or really kind of switch that for us in a way.
Yeah.
So I love that for you guys. And I love the fact that you're doing that and so authentically as well, because you're right. There is a lot of close-minded people and and it's not because we choose to be, right? It's because we're in that setting, in that time place. We also owe it to humanity to open our minds and explore what is there else.
Absolutely. Film and music and art have the opportunity to start conversations, and it allows people to safely experience things and to safely relate to things. And it's so beautiful to be able to do that and be able to take somebody and in the span of 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, an hour and a half, be able to flip that switch and be like, okay, wow, I never thought about it that way. So completely agree.
Planting the seed, even just planting the seed could be something that, help out. Let's talk about the job titles because you guys talked about it a little bit. I want to know each one of your roles and what does it really entail? Like, feel free to go as deep into detail because, hey, somebody might be like, ooh, that is what I want to do. Oh, I don't even know how to get there. Or I don't even know what it entails, but it sounds cool. So let's start off with you, Ashleigh.
Yeah. So, it's so fun. We just spoke at NAB, which is the National Association of Broadcast convention that takes place yearly in Vegas. And it's been a dream of ours to speak there. And that's when everything kind of started to connect with CA in LA as a brand that we're kind of A24. We are A24. We have films. Now they have music.
Which is insane.
Which is so fun.
It was right off the heels of us being like, we're A24, except they don't have music. And they do
now they do.
music.
So we do music, we do fine art, we have merch store with tie-ins to things that are going on in our broadcast and things that are going on in our films and music and stuff. So I'm the narrative innovation director at CA in LA. And CA in LA is so multifaceted across all of those spectrums, but the main thing and main advice I have on this, no one is going to give you these titles, okay? You can say that you're a content creator. And I know that that cuts through the noise and it makes people be like, okay, cool, you don't have an ego. You understand where you are in this ecosystem of things. But I think what's interesting about us creating our own titles was it's not just, you can't just say you're a content creator. You are a multidisciplinary artist. That means you're in charge of your own marketing. You're in charge of your thumbnails, your image, your brand, filming all the content, being the on-air talent. Like, it's so restraining to put the word content creator as your title. So if you want to get to where we are, 9 times out of 10, you're already doing it. So just reframe the way that you think about yourself. Because when we took that step back and we were like, okay, if we weren't ourselves, remove ego, remove being so full of yourself, what does that look like and what does our job actually entail? And when we started writing out what our job description was, that title kind of naturally and organically came to me.
Yeah, instead of when someone says, "Oh, what do you do?" and you go, "Oh, a lot." Like we all do a lot.
What don't I do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to, I feel like giving yourself a title holds your head high a little bit.
Mhm.
And that's really important because exactly what Ashley said, you're already doing the work.
It's fascinating because Court and I do tag team everything and it's hard to split things up, but
Yeah.
I oversee like CA in LA as a brand. I'm the one making the primary decisions and doing the research on what opportunities we are seeking out, what our 6-month plan is, because I'm a firm believer that whatever you were putting into action and into practice 6 months ago, you feel the harvest 6 months later. So if we've been really focused on music, and I said I really want us to be playing more live shows, and I really want us to be making new original songs. And 6 months later, we're playing the LA County Fair. It's stuff like that of just directing where our brand is going, directing where our intention is going, deciding what overall themes we're addressing, and really breaking up narratively and visually what we're looking at as a brand.
Yeah. I would say that for me, it's just the visuals of it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What emotions are we getting out of this? So that's anything from websites to Instagram assets to our newsletter to sometimes for both of us, it's what we're wearing. But like Ashley was saying, we do tag team a lot of it. It's just, okay, here's the list of things that need to get done. Now we're going to go do all the follow-ups now. And now we're going to do whatever the thing is that's right on the back of it. But yeah, we very much tag team.
Yeah. Well, like you just never know. Like sometimes Courtney's the one that's connecting really well with a brand or a connection.
Yeah.
And so she takes the lead on something versus sometimes I get outreach directly from people. And so I take that lead. But it's so hard to define what our individual roles are when we're constantly handing the whole project off. Like right now we have a film coming up and we're both talking about what the concept is. And we're both talking about, oh, what influences are we feeling right now? What is it that we want to say? But I'll be the one that writes the script.
Yeah, she has, the oversee.
Yeah.
I'm the creative imagery director of CA in LA or at CA in LA. And then a multimedia visionary partner, which is where the tag team comes in. And then for film, I usually act, and I guess I don't want to say like consult on concepts, but so producing, acting, editing, and color grading. And then I will do all of the marketing assets when we are ready to go to film festivals.
I write, direct, cinematography, produce, edit, and usually do all of our sound design, sometimes compose. And then with music, I sing, play guitar.
I sing and play piano.
Y'all are
a lot.
Y'all are all hands-on. Is there
Yes.
anything that you would like, I would be okay with handing off?
Yes, I would say, and it's the thing that we're actually in the middle of handing off, is finding a strategist for us. One of our biggest problems or hiccups in the road has been that people don't know what to do with us because like, well, what do you mean? You do film, you do music, you do fine art, you do all of these things. I don't know how to market you. I don't know what that means. So we haven't really found our love affair of a manager or strategist, and we are in the works of doing that because we need to focus on all of the other things and not even just say we just need to focus on the art of it. That would be great, but there are way too many other things going on. So at least someone to be like, hey, try this as a strategy instead of Ashleigh and I throwing spaghetti. So
yeah,
yes,
I would say SEO. Someone to be in charge of like all the hashtags, all of the thumbnails, all of that stuff, so that we can do the thing and we'll deliver the thing, but like marketing the thing, getting the thing out there, that's kind of where our holdup has been.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of hats to wear, and each one of those hats is specifically jobs that need to get done. So that makes sense. When did the transition go from, when did it become like a small little project to being full blown? A bunch of like, number one, going to film festivals, but number two, going to concerts. When did it go, oh shoot, we're actually getting this done? Or are you guys not at that point?
I would say that it's been gradual. We started just doing the music thing to fund a movie. And then on Twitch, oh my God, I remember back in like 2017, someone was like, oh, you guys need a brand. You need a brand name. You need to brand your friendship immediately. And so we were like, oh, well, CA in LA, Courtney and Ashleigh in Los Angeles. That sounds fun. And so we started running with that. We had a music name that was something different, and we just were like, okay, cool, we're starting on Twitch, we're gonna just take the CA in LA thing. We branded the 2017 for CA in LA. 2018 is when we started Twitch as CA in LA. And I don't think it got like really, really serious for us until 2020, when streaming became our full-time job and film was on hiatus because of the pandemic. And then as things started to trickle back in, then the strikes happened in 2022, and we really haven't recovered in the film realm of doing like freelance work in film. So I would say that we got really serious with CA in like 2023 and throwing live shows, getting better at our craftsmanship as live performers, getting comfortable on stage. And then 2024, we started making huge strides and plans for like, okay, let's like, what does this look like for us doing this seriously? And then this year we've implemented those plans.
Yes. I would also say 2020, because that was just a huge push for us to now be full-time on stream, and there were zero excuses. So we've really had to focus on CA in that way. And then it has been gradual, echoing everything that Ashleigh said. But also there were multiple realizations along that were really, really big ones. So one is 2020, oh my gosh, we don't have a job. Okay, so CA is very serious now, branding the friendship. And then the next one being, if we're throwing live shows, then we never do anything small. We just don't. I love that about us. So we really, really started to throw concerts, but I don't think that there was the epiphany. Like we just had one right before we went to NAB of, or we used to have problems going to different conventions and being like, all right, are you representing Miss Ash Productions or am I? And are you going to be an editor, director? Like, what's the best title that you have under your hat that is going to be best for this situation? And then for me, it's like, all right, I guess I'll be CA in LA and I'll be the broadcaster. And that was what my badge would say. And we were constantly like, we're just going to throw everything out, see what sticks and go with that. It wasn't until right before NAB that we had a huge epiphany of, oh my God, CA in LA is getting the opportunities. CA in LA is the conglomerate and everything else is underneath. We have to go with CA in LA and there's nothing else about it. And we need to revamp our titles and say what we do. And Miss Ash Productions is still there, but it is the film part of CA in LA. And Joy Rose Art is the fine art part of CA. But CA gets, like, that's the name that people know. And that is the branch, or like the top of everything else. And having that was like, oh, that was a really, really big one of understanding just how serious that name is for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it feel coming to that realization? Because just hearing you say that gave me a certain emotion. So I want to know what emotion it gave you guys at that moment to be like, this is the all, and then everything else, yes, is still there. It's still just as important, but this is our main.
It is still a massive dream to work with A24. I love their ethos of investing in independent artists. I love the ethos of being very crafty and very witty and weird and absurd. And it was enlightening and euphoric to come to that realization. Because like Court and I will have these like really long days. And at the time that we had this epiphany, we were like, it was so wild. We had like event and show, and then we flew up to San Fran to work with Adobe, and we did 3 live streams in their office, and then flew home later that day, and we streamed that night, and the next day we packed, and then the next day we drove to Vegas, and then we were at the convention, and then we got home, we streamed, we had band practice, and so like we have very little time to like sit and process. And it was like middle of the night after we had all of this crazy amazing stuff happen, and I was like, we are A24. Like we've done it, we've crafted it, and we didn't even know. And I think that like that click, like we had one major realization when it came to film and the way that we communicate with our films and where we want our films to land on a spectrum of, oh my God, like that's why people couldn't market us. That's why people have never understood us, is that we didn't understand ourselves, and we didn't understand the power that we have created for ourselves wearing all of these hats. And so instead of anyone taking the narrative to be like, oh, you guys do so much that you guys are all over the place. No, we are reclaiming that. And it is No, we do it all. We have a conglomerate brand here, and what we're doing is prolific. What we're doing is really, really high quality in all of these areas, and like euphoric is my word for it.
I agree with that. And finally, understanding that we've had all of these little tidbits of the absurdist and just slightly off art that we've always been doing. And so having one of our short films be absurdist dark comedy, we're like, this is absolutely us. The pottery that Ashleigh and I make, they're just weird little goblin things. Like we just make weird things, and everybody in our pottery class, like they're the girls who make feet bowls and they always have butts, and they're just like, they make the weird things. And so now we are finally able to lean into that. And I think music and associating music with CA and LA on top of everything else, but specifically music, we were like, okay, well, if I were to write music, this is the kind of music that I would write. And it was a certain style, but we never really fully leaned in as far as us. We were trying to take artist photos that we felt like would be good for us, instead of fully leaning in and being like, no, we are just absurd people. Our photos are going to be absurd and we should just have that. And I think that that's the connecting thread between all of the mediums that we work in. And that was also another really, really exciting revelation. And I don't want to say that there wasn't as much pride in CA, because there absolutely is, but it was a different mindset to say, we are not just doing the CA and LA thing to be able to make films. And so that's kind of the means to an end, which means it's not as important, because the important thing is Miss Ash Productions and it's the film. It's film. It's actually flipped, because CA is the reason we will be able to make film. So now, not that Miss Ash is not important, that is my everything, but CA and LA is at the forefront, and it is the way, not the only way, but it is the way that Ashleigh and I have crafted that we will be able to be A24. So CA has much more gravity to it.
Yeah.
And that was so amazing to find out.
Yeah.
to come to the realization of, we don't have mentors, we don't have anybody to give us advice really, or see, because we're doing something completely different and in a different way. We're singing ethereal songs, and then we're like, in our photos, it just,
it is what it is.
It's what it is. But it's good.
I love it. I mean, hearing you guys talk about it, it did, like you said, Ashleigh, it was a euphoric feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. This is just like my Latin side, but there's this show in Spanish TV called La Rosa de Guadalupe. Basically, every time they have like a aha moment, it's like everything's glowing and there's wind blowing, and that's what it felt like for me hearing you guys say like, hey, we've made it to this event that we've dreamt about going to, and it's because of this. Like, it's that aha epiphany moment for you guys. So I only dream of having a moment like that, and I'm sure I will get my moment.
Absolutely.
I'm literally manifesting that. I will get my moment. But I want to know also, I want to, like, you guys are doing this, and you said it, you have no one really to rely on, right? It's just you guys taking this idea and rolling with it. What have been the struggles that you have faced, aside from, I feel like the most common one would be a little bit of that. It's almost like the imposter syndrome, right? Where you're like, what are we actually doing? Like, what are all those moments that you're like, hey, is this really worth it kind of for us?
Yeah, I would say that it's been really interesting, because we have not followed a traditional means or a traditional timeline for a lot of people. And so my family still doesn't really make sense of me. And I'm just like, I'm the daughter or the sibling that's out in LA, like doing the art thing, but like I'm weird, which is fine. I'm so thankful that we have our Twitch community, the Ohana, because as we are celebrating wins, we have a community of people from around the world that care about us, that love us, that support us, and that want to see us succeed. And we've been through the trenches together and with them, and we share the wins, we share the losses. So I'm just so eternally thankful that we don't have to truly go through this alone anymore.
Absolutely. One of the biggest struggles very early on, and not necessarily one that we had internally, but one that we kept being told was, you guys are never going to make it together, whatever that means. And we heard that so much that we were kind of like, oh, well, I mean, I understand, like, what if we were able to work on other projects and then get some notoriety that way and then bring it back, because we know that this is where we want to end up. So Ashleigh, you should go direct, and I should go act, and we should both really, really pursue the things that we want to be doing. And this was very early on, before we had our why, pretty much. And aside from, we just want to make film, I'm talking about a really, really intentional what and why. That has taken us so many years to figure out. And hearing that, it felt like we were holding ourselves back by not doing that, but then constantly defending why we do everything together. And this is going to be carving our own path. So working as a unit has been a huge struggle. One, because people need to understand. Two, when there is someone standing next to you, that's two people that have to like you instead of just one. That's two people you have to vouch for. That's two completely different personalities you have to vouch for. If we get into the nasty side of the industry, and you have a meeting with someone, there's now two of us. I think that has been a really big part. But then Ashleigh and I realizing I don't need, well, I'm not going to speak for her, but I don't need to act in all of these other projects to be fulfilled as an actor. I love working on every part of production, and I love working at Miss Ash Productions. That's where I do get to act, but I get to do everything. And that's my dream. So I'm so beyond happy to be in this duo. So yeah, the duo was a hard part of it. The second being people just not knowing what to do with you and telling you that you have to constantly niche down to set yourself apart. But I just find that to be more harmful than anything, because everybody does everything already, and almost to a point where it's people feel bad about saying that they do everything.
Yeah.
Which is, I think is really interesting. Have you noticed that? It's just,
Yes.
we all already know that we do it. And then it's like, if you get an ounce of success, like if Ashleigh and I said, we actually didn't find this opportunity, our manager found it. It's like, that's not something to be ashamed of. That's a great thing. That's amazing. Being a struggling artist is not, like, we don't feel bad about the wins. But anyway, I do feel like that's a struggle too. Just being able to share our wins in a space where we don't isolate people, because we are doing a lot, and a lot of people get very, very, they feel a certain way about that. And then there's two of it. Honestly, yeah, I'm sorry to sum this up really quick. Our duo has just been a challenge, and it's been a problem for a lot of people. We don't have a lot of people close to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you summed it up very beautifully. But yeah, I completely agree. We've been told to separate. We've been told to go after our own thing, that we weren't going to succeed together, that we were stupid for moving out to Los Angeles, that you can make film from anywhere, which now that's the case. That wasn't necessarily the case like a decade ago. And we're already in Los Angeles, so we like our food here. And the sunshine. If we're going to struggle, at least we're going to have sunshine and good weather. But yeah, I agree. It's been really complicated to develop like strong relationships and friendships, as our friendship is like core to most conversations. And so it's definitely created inferiority with other people and made us be like, what are we doing wrong? And I'm not saying that we're perfect. Like, I have really bad social anxiety, which I know like Reed's not great in a lot of situations. But at the same time, I also receive DMs from people that are like, you guys are just really hard to be friends with because you're always posting so much, you're always doing so much, and you make me feel bad about myself. So coming to terms with that we're likely not going to have a lot of friends and a lot of relationships in our lives because of the nature of work we're doing and the frequency of work that we are accomplishing and achieving.
Yeah, it's like we're seen in a room and you know what we do, you know that we do everything. And then if you don't know us or like you are aware, then they just go, oh, nope, they're a complete entity. They don't need help. They don't need us. We're just going to steer clear. And it's like, well, no, we very much want to collaborate. We very much need help, and it's okay to ask for help. Everyone, please ask for help if you need it. Yeah. And I think that us having to do everything and then having done everything really is off-putting. Yeah, for a lot of people.
That's crazy. That to me speaks, hey, y'all need to work on yourselves. That's kind of how I feel, because having met you guys and had a little bit of time with you guys, I feel like you guys are great. But that's also, I think you guys are wonderful. I had a great time. So I'm kind of like, oh, that's so weird. But then that leads me to the next question. What makes this work for you guys, right? Is it the fact that you guys did create that friendship where it's like we can rely on each other and we know 100% that we are there for each other? or also my other question is like, what are the struggles of being in that duo, right? Is it like sometimes you have to be a little bit lenient on the way? Because I mean, I project manage on the side, so having to project manage and deal with all these different personalities could be difficult. So what is that difficulty in your relationship, if there is any? Because not saying that there has to be any.
We had a conversation in 2018, 2019 that I think really, really changed the way that we moved forward. And it's that above and beyond everything else, you are my best friend and you are my priority. And nothing else matters more than our friendship. And if you're not okay, I'm not okay. So no matter what, that is the tent pole. And everything else after that is bonus. Getting to travel everywhere, getting to have all of these opportunities, getting to make music and live broadcast and make films, it's amazing. But our number one focus and the area that we will always do work is our friendship. So having that as like home base, everything else after that I think has been pretty cake.
Yeah, I think in a lot of situations are people who work together but are in relationships or working with your friends or living with a friend, whatever it is. I think that once you have multiple areas where you compartmentalize different relationships, most people are like, all right, we're in this scenario. I'm director Ashleigh and you're actor Courtney right now in this scenario. In this scenario, we are this type of relationship and then we're this type. It is important to be aware of those types of relationships. But if you don't have the conversation of where your friendship lies in it, overall, then you're going to be in all of those compartmentalized situations and constantly feel like you cannot speak up because that's director Ashleigh right now, not best friend Ashleigh. So echoing that, having the knowledge that our best friendship is the number one thing, and it's not, oh, there's CA, there's Miss Ash Productions, and then there's us. No, it's us first, always. And then knowing that and feeling comfortable and communicating a lot about what we're going through, then if we are on set and she's director Ashleigh, I know to compartmentalize, but I also know that if I ever feel the need to say something, I'm going to say something because it's us first. Sorry, that was just the first example that came to mind. But we have to compartmentalize in that way, but then also we're constantly checking in. And this kind of goes into our work-life balance as well of, Are you feeling, where are you at right now? Are you feeling like Courtney and Ashleigh? Or are you feeling like you're CA right now as far as the work that you're doing? Because there's sometimes that we're both just doing things. And then it's like, wait, what do we need to prioritize? I don't know. I'm kind of doing this over here and you're doing this over here, but we're not talking about what we're doing. I'm so guilty of that. But openly communicating where we're at, how we are mentally feeling that day. And then what type of work in what area of our lives are we feeling like we're going to be working in? And then we can, if that's not necessarily the right place as far as a priority, we can just talk about it and say, well, why don't we do this? And then we'll plan time to do this over here. So we communicate a lot.
Yeah, I would say, and to touch on a challenge that we've had, learning how to communicate in different areas, because film is seamless collaboration for us. Live
so
broadcasts and yapping, music is pretty seamless for us. Where we've experienced friction lately has been in the songwriting capacity, because Courtney used to be in a band and she did things different. And then when we collab on music, it's all different types of way. We haven't had like a process. And so us focusing on writing new music every month has helped us be like, okay, well, this part of the process isn't it. Okay, well, maybe there's a nugget of something that's working here. And with our latest song called Brace for Impact, I think we nailed down finally not only how to collaborate, but how to communicate. Okay, well, I'm feeling this, I like this, and just like find that process that works for us. Yeah.
That has been a challenge point. Yeah. Just 'cause it didn't come as easily.
No.
But also we've had a lot of time doing other things to mess up. Whereas us writing originals, we didn't start doing until 2019.
2018.
We wrote originals.
2019. You're right.
Oh, okay.
We took off work in 2019.
Yeah. 2019, and we took off a week of work and just wrote an album. So we had time to lollygag and run around and do whatever for a whole week. Now it's like, nope, we need a new song and we need it yesterday. So now we have to sit down and do it. And then we're both frazzled that we have to sit down and do this thing.
Yeah.
And it just, that has definitely been a challenge. For sure.
I think the closest I get to that is I have a husband and I have to learn to communicate with him, and that's difficult in itself because I'm also stuck with him for life. So, but we're not writing or creating anything together besides, jiu-jitsuing. So that's cool.
I mean,
So
that's huge.
I get to choke them out, and that's my answer to everything. Just choke them out, and we're good to go. But you talked a little bit about this, and I want to go back to it, which is the idea of, okay, when you are having a meeting, sometimes it can be difficult because we're going into the dark side of the industry, and you guys are in multiple industries, which I don't know how you can do it. You're in the gaming space, you're in the entertainment space, and you're in the music space, right? How difficult is it to make sure that you feel like you are present and you are a force in that space being a female?
It's whiplash. It's constant innovation. It's constant following trends, because following trends and staying relevant in one area, that's a lot of work. That's a full-time job, right? And so it's constantly just adapting to what's going on and figuring out what our take is on that and moving forward in creating art in that capacity. When we remember that there are people that care about us, that want to hear what we're going to say, right? That are eager to have a conversation because we create collaborative community spaces. That makes it a lot easier to go in and have that bravery and strength, especially being women and being women that stand together. I mean, there's a lot of power in, and I think that that's what is very intimidating almost, is that as women, we are not taught to promote. We are not taught to collaborate. We are taught to compete and destroy, right? And to compare ourselves and to like feel insecure and feel less than. And when you see two women stand strong and firm and confident in who they are and then stand together, that's very, very powerful energy that's going out into the world.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
There's also very little room for error, it seems, in spaces like this. You have to just be on your A game. But I want to also touch on, it's okay to not know how to do things. I understand going in any entertainment industry and being a woman where it's not traditionally our space, that you want to know what you're talking about. You want to be able to keep up and stuff. But I have also found that in doing so, you are closing yourself off to learning. And so we'll say in the film space, Ashleigh and I don't know everything about everything in every department. And so if we're working on a male dominated set, at least like if Ashleigh's directing or I'm acting, at least we can say, this is what I want it to look like. I can't tell you the exact jib arm that you're going to use to make it happen, but knowing what you want and knowing how to clearly communicate that and saying, I don't necessarily know, but I'm here. If you need anything, let me know, is far better than to enter into a situation and start running your mouth when you have no idea what's going on. That I feel that is a strategy that only works for certain people. That is not one that works for us. And so just be open to that as well.
I would also say that like you can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Think about if you see an opportunity, like you see something on Instagram or Twitter or Blue Sky or Discord in any capacity, and you know someone that would be a good fit, send it their way, because one, don't you want to see your friends succeed? Two, the opportunity's already out there. Don't you want to see your friends succeed? And three, you just never know when that energy is going to come back at you. But like just leading with the ethos of being a good, curious person, I think is the biggest strength to overcome imposter syndrome, to overcome feeling like you're not doing enough or that you are not enough.
It can also make networking spaces much easier to be in, because we can't curate every space that we're going to end up in or who it is that we're going to speak to. Yeah. And if you go in knowing that you have that strength and knowing that you're going to talk to thousands of people, a lot of which probably won't amount to anything, and then a lot of them can turn into really beautiful relationships. It's just about networking is speed dating. It's not finding who is going to best help you and run with that. You have to find people that you really enjoy speaking with and enjoy being around. And that should be the game when it comes to networking, I think. But that's a struggle that we dealt with for a really long time. It's like, why do I feel like nobody's listening to me? Why is this weird? That's just part of it. You're not going to get along with everybody. You're not going to be able to network in a positive way with everyone. Yeah, so keep that in mind too. I feel like we're answering questions and then giving advice, but it's just,
I love
don't
that.
want anyone to fall into what we have fallen into.
No, I think that's important too, because you can just say something, but if you don't really have, for example, you're like, yeah, it's very important to take networking as speed dating. And then I like the fact that you're giving us a little bit of background detail on what it is you guys have also gone through. But you did say, okay, this is something that didn't work out for us. What is the now strategy for you guys when going into networking, and how do you elevator pitch yourselves to new potential networking?
We separate
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
Separating,
Yeah.
but then also if we have the opportunity, we learn about as many people that are going to be in that room as possible. It sounds so silly, but usually on like Partiful, on Eventbrite, sometimes you can see a list of people that are going to be there. You can see like the list of attendees. So do a little bit of research, or if you see someone's name badge and you see like a company that they're associated with, look them up on LinkedIn really quick. Don't go in unprepared. Try to figure out as much information as possible, but then also know why you're there. What is your purpose in that room, and what value do you have to offer to someone? You can't just go in with all of these asks. You also have to be like this is a mistake that a lot of people make when they're applying for Twitch partner. So here's a little thing. You can't just be like, well, I do X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. What are you going to do to elevate Twitch as a brand? What are you going to do that is going to give value to Twitch, saying, hey, this is a Twitch partner? You can't be so insular and so inside of yourself that you forget that this is an exchange. So if you are in a room, what is it that you want to accomplish? And like kind of give yourself that pep talk when you're going in. Okay, this is a room of film programmers. I'm going to collect I'm going to try to figure out what film festivals are here, and I am going to make connections with them. And if we don't vibe, cool, but like find commonality with them and put it out there of maybe not in the film programmer room, but like for us, we're looking for a manager. So when we were at NIB, we were like, yeah, and right now what we're looking for is a manager, and we were in a space with a lot of social media influencers, and we're like, cool. So if you know anyone that blends well, we're like A24. And 3 people sent, oh my God, this person would be perfect for you. So like, know what you're doing there and then offer value to the people that you're talking to.
Yeah, it's really important to throw in, like you said, it doesn't have to be waiting for someone to ask you, oh, and what are you doing here? What are you looking for? You have to just throw it in as you're talking about yourself. And sometimes you may never get a chance to talk about yourself. But another thing about networking that we found helpful is ask a ton of questions. People are going to be more inclined to remember you as a pleasant experience, if remembering you at all, if they are getting a chance to speak about themselves and what they do. People love talking about themselves. We all know this. So if you are really inquisitive and paying attention, I'm not talking like someone's answering your question and you're looking all over here. I understand ADHD brain. Ashleigh and I both have it. We get it. But you have to, like, eye contact is so important when someone is answering your question and they can see you when you're looking around at other things. It means you're not a priority for them. And that's a huge, huge turnoff, especially when Ashleigh and I are speaking to people. It's like one of the most disrespectful things you can do. Anyway, so yeah, please look people in the face when you are speaking to them. If you are explaining something, looking around is okay. But if someone is speaking to you, that is when you stare them down. Respectfully. But so yes, that, but like I said, just be curious about other people. And then if you have an opportunity, you can offer information like this, because you can get a lot more by listening than speaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I'm looking around, though, that's because I have ADHD, so don't mind me. I also am like, especially in overwhelming places. That does sometimes happen to me where I'm like in conversation with someone and it's like so loud, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to pay attention, but I cannot because it's so loud in here. But
It's really hard.
Yeah. Let's focus a little bit on your Twitch career. Okay, Twitch career, you guys are mostly in the, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys are mostly into the entertainment side of things, live, IRL chatting, yes, music section. How has that been like collaborating with other content creators? And do you feel like since you started, has it evolved into something more enjoyable, or have you found it to be a little bit more difficult to get into? Let's say someone's like, I want to get into the music industry, specifically on Twitch. Would you say it's a little bit more welcoming? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really funny when we talk about in film spaces how we funded so many of our films on Twitch, because instantly we get eyes and I can feel the energy shift of, you mean I can fund my movies on Twitch? And it's like, oh no, okay, it's not like that. It's not that simple. You could, but like, good luck.
Also, not $250,000 unless you want to make that in 10 years. Like, it just,
Maybe.
no, it's not. No, No.
When we started in Twitch Music, it was a lot smaller. We say that it used to be like you could make a lunchroom flowchart of like, oh, which music streamers are friends, what genres they're all in, who streams during the day, who streams at night. It was a very small community. 2020 changed that. And I would say that like that boom with not only more live broadcasters, but larger audiences and a lot more disposable income because everyone was at home, everything really, really took off. And all of the years of us being like, yeah, get on Twitch, people finally started to understand it. And I would say even still, it wasn't until this year that I'm hearing a lot more brands speak candidly about live broadcasting and multi-streaming. So it's still relatively new that people even know what Twitch is, especially in film and broadcast worlds.
Collaborating with other artists as well. So yes, Ashleigh touched on bringing people into the Twitch space, and that is just such a funny conversation. I would say the Twitch music is relatively welcoming though, yes. They're wonderful. As far as us collaborating with other musicians, we've tried it a couple times. With there being two of us, we do not have the capabilities of easily collaborating the way that other single streamers do. It's very easy for them to just set up, well, I don't want to say easy because I can't speak to all of the work that they put in, but set up another microphone. They know that they're splitting things 50-50 or whatever it is. Now that there's two microphones, there's no room back here for someone to sit. Then bringing in a third microphone, it's like we're all just like this. And we found that to be very challenging. So the way that we collaborate with Twitch music streamers now is one, we throw live shows, and two, we will say, hey, do you need a music video? Because we do film and we can do that. So we've found our way of being able to collaborate. That's not necessarily doing a collaborating stream.
We've also done charity streams where we've played like Mario Kart and everyone cosplayed as a different character, which was a lot of fun. We collaborate on charity streams. We will host little episodic things like we do an interview with masters of our craft, like friends in the industry. We've done programming around Filipino American History Month in October. And it's bringing a new understanding to what interactive broadcast looks like, what it means to bring audiences truly into the room so that people from around the world can also be there and also be introduced to new artists and new creatives.
That makes total sense. And you guys give a whole different perspective of what collaborating is, right? Because you made a very great point, which is, hey, yeah, we're aware of what our spacing is and what our capabilities are. I don't think everyone is very aware of what they bring to the table. And I think it goes back to like, hey, what are you bringing to the table? What are you contributing to this relationship? But the fact that you guys go beyond that and do so much more. I was at the live event you guys put together for charity. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys do more of those. It was so great, not only just to mingle with other content creators, but to hear them bring their art forth as well. That was so fun. Thanks for having that.
Thanks for being there.
When's the next one? Is there anything that you wish, because now these big companies are coming into this space and being like, hey, this is a potential, is there anything that you wish that they would bring besides their money?
Curiosity. I think in the streaming world, something that we've been actively trying to do, going to NAB, going to Cinegear, talking and developing relationships with a lot of high-profile brands, is helping them understand what the needs of creatives and the needs of streamers are, because we're in a very interesting landscape that most streamers are also, they're on-air talent and they're also producing. And so it's not just a stream deck. This is a lifeblood. This is immensely powerful. Same with cameras. It's not enough to just say, oh, wow, we've got these specs on this camera. It's okay, break that down into layman's terms. If I know nothing, what does that mean? Is that going to be easy for me to set up? Is it plug and play? People understand those words. So it's just bridging that gap between these companies that want to come in because they see a lot of opportunity. Amazing. But what does that mean for the broadcasters? And what does that relationship look like of tech to broadcast to creative, of in this landscape of us now wanting to take our high, the cameras that we're paying $2,000 for, not just on stream, but now we can take that out and film high quality reels and take it with us to do vlogging, that kind of thing. So I think companies are getting a lot better about making sure that they do their market research and that they're integrated and interviewing people in the space of broadcast, which is great.
I completely agree. Curiosity is important because you have to understand what the needs of a broadcaster in their home is. We need gear that is probably just, if not more powerful, but just as powerful as what you use in a studio, but we need it to be this big.
Yeah.
So as far as companies who are trying to innovate their technology, first of all, we want your knowledge. We need that. We need that here because we're all just trying to figure out what works in a home studio. And then Ashleigh and I go to conventions looking for tech solutions and they're like, no, these are for real live broadcasters who are in a studio at a news network. Like, well, okay, but I don't have the room for that. So what do you have for me? Yeah, understanding that we need smaller gear, we need it to be portable, and we need it to be just as powerful. So I think the best way for tech companies to innovate is to start talking to live streamers.
Yeah.
100%.
Know the audience, know the space, for
Yep.
sure. Is there anyone that you feel has either, besides your Ohana, helped you go through this journey and assisted you in any way that you're like, these are core pillars of our career and they should be given a shout out to?
I would love to shout out one of our girlies. Her name's Ashleigh Woods. This woman is a powerhouse, and networks, if you're listening, just give her her show, okay? Let her be Tina Fey. No, she's amazing. We do a lot of work with Adobe now, and she was the one that pitched us to them and put us in that ecosystem. And our life over the last year and a half has been so different. And I feel like all of that hard work is finally paying off. So Ashleigh Woods, please check her out. She is an actress. She is a writer. She's a producer. She produced the editing podcast on YouTube. She's got a lot of experience in the YouTube space, and she's just one of those bubbly personalities that has so many ideas and is always willing to get down and dirty and figure out new ways to make sense of this emerging world.
I would also like to shout out Chris Ash because without him, we would not be on Twitch. And every time we say this, he rolls his eyes and laughs, but it is so true. He is a phenomenal, phenomenal actor. He jumps into every project with such enthusiasm and such curiosity. He trusts Ashleigh and I so much to take care of him, but he's also just willing to do everything. And he gives us so much grace and so much time to figure out what it is that we want to do. And he's so supportive. He's always down to work and tell beautiful stories, and he's down to change things on the fly, which we do often. But I do feel like when the three of us are on set, it's a trio.
Yeah.
And that we have our powwows. We're like, how can we best bring this story to life? And without him being all of these incredible things, one, we would not have the body of work that we do because he's in so many of them. But two, we would not be who we are as people. CA and LA would not be what it is. And he is a part of the Ohana. He always is. But we extend far outside of Twitch as film friends and as family. So Chris Ash, phenomenal actor. Again, please check him out. Check out his reel. Check out his website. He's such a grade A human being.
I also would love to shout out our band, Marknificent and Coco Confession. We have grown so much as musicians with them, and we've been playing shows together since 2022. And the time is coming up that we will not be able to play as many shows with them. And it's very era bending and defining for us, but we are going to be recording our full studio album with them, so that's fantastic. And I would love to also just shout out all of the names and humans that have been a part of our journey, from the weekends filming projects at random houses and pissing their parents off on our behalf. And so sorry for all of you, you're amazing. But everybody that has believed in us and watched rough cuts and listened to our music at nauseum, and our mods, Umo, Chris, and Dad, like, just being there, and again, the Ohana is just fantastic.
We are all made up of sums of our tribe, right? We each have a tribe, and these people really make it so that we can continue to do what we do. So that is beautiful. I'm so excited to look up all these people and be like, hey, I think I know you because I've heard all these wonderful things about you. So lastly, everyone that's listening to us at home, what words of advice do you have for them to, if they are in the industry and they're either in the entertainment or the music or just being creative artists? What is some words of advice that you want them to hear so that they can continue to pursue their careers?
Lead with a collaborative spirit. Stay curious. day being a student of life, one of the ways that we do that is instead of always just following all of the business accounts on Instagram and holding yourself to that standard, follow artists. Make sure that you're curating your spaces and that you are intentional with how you're spending your time. It's so easy to doom scroll, but what are you looking to achieve? You're looking for a dopamine hit, right? You will find that so much faster surrounding yourself by beautiful things, by things that inspire you. For me, it's really weird reels. And people send me the same reel all the time. And they're like, oh my God, I saw this and I thought of you. And it's amazing to have that already be on my feed because I know myself and I know where my mind wanders to and the things that I need. So really doing that work to figure out what it is that you're trying to accomplish and surrounding yourself by those things that help you dream a little bit bigger than you normally would and push you outside of your comfort zone.
I completely agree with all that. Beautifully said. On top of curating your spaces, I think that we all need to think about our home a little bit more. The easiest dopamine hit you can have is actually feeling like you can thrive in a physical space that you're in. We all know what it's like to be in a physical space that we are not comfortable in, that we feel icky or it's loud or whatever the situation may be. And then you go home and it can be comfortable to you. And that's fine. It's comfortable because you know it and you know how to exist in it. And that's cool. But curate your home in a way that you can thrive in it, whatever that looks like for you. If it's surrounding yourself with constant inspiration, fine. If it's being super neat, not having a lot in there, that's fine. But your physical space is going to be such a determinant of what's going on up here. And in order to declutter your mind to get to a true point of creativity where you feel like you can thrive and you can push and make drastic leaps and take risks, you have to be in a physical space where you are allowing yourself to do that. And I feel like all of our homes being multidisciplinary, that's like the one place that we neglect because we're doing everything outside of it. We're going to set, we are writing a song, we are online, we are whatever, but you have to curate any of your spaces in a place that you feel like you are at peace in. So
oh my gosh, I'm so touched. I adore you guys. I adore your vibes. It's everything. Yes. And I hope if you are at home, you felt that as well. And I hope that after listening to this podcast, you have picked up some strats on what you are going to do and how you are going to get to where you want to be in life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I had a wonderful time and I wish we didn't have to stop yapping, but we do. So
thank you for having us. This has been great.